Months after the world watched her endure brutal humiliation, Hillary Clinton walks into her study. She sits down at her computer, sighs, pinches the bridge of her nose. "Okay, everyone. Shut the hell up and listen," she mutters. And then she types feverishly for weeks, or however long it takes to pound out 469 pages. It's easy to imagine this being how Clinton wrote what happened, her account of running for, and eventually losing, the presidency to Donald Trump. There's a sense in this book that, after 2 years of stoic composure, Clinton simply needed to get it all out. It must be a relief, given the number of times that Clinton writes about holding her tongue. When Representative Jason Chaffetz, Republican Utah, tweets on Inauguration Day that he's so pleased she is not president, she holds back a barb about how she didn't even know who he was. "To be honest, thought you were Reince." When an older woman demands that her adult daughter apologize to Clinton for not voting, Clinton swallows her bile. "I wanted to stare right in her eyes and say, 'You didn't vote? How could you not vote? You abdicated your responsibility as a citizen at the worst possible time. And now you want me to make you feel better?' Of course, I didn't say any of that." These people were looking for absolution that I just couldn't give. We all have to live with the consequences of our decisions. She stays home from the Women's March. "If I showed up, nasty politics would unavoidably follow." After Election Day, she writes about being upset and worried for the country, but decides to keep quiet. "I didn't go public with my feelings. I let them out in private." And that's all before page 25. All of which is to say that the perennial political book reviewer question, "Who is this book for?" may be irrelevant here. It's true that in the author's note, Clinton seems to articulate a statement of purpose, saying that the lessons we draw from 2016 could help determine whether we can heal our democracy and protect it in the future. But ultimately, it reads like a book she had to write, audience be damned, a book written out of exasperation. If Trump's combative inauguration speech was a howl from the white nationalist gut, as Clinton puts it, her book is a howl from the gut of Hermione Granger, the embattled cry of the hyper-competent woman who desperately wishes the world were a meritocracy. Clinton seems to have seized the opportunity to unleash that cry, uninterrupted and at length. It's a book of exasperation, but for her, it just might be a book of liberation. The question many readers may have, especially those who want to forget the most vitriolic election of the modern era, is whether it is worth reading. Ultimately, the book might be a historical artifact. Most of all, the chronicling of what, exactly, it was like to run for president as the first woman major party candidate, and, yes, a Clinton as well. Plenty may disagree with Clinton's opinions on what went wrong for her, but her story will still be an important part of that history when America looks back on the melee that was the 2016 election. But here's what the book is not: it's not newsy. There isn't much here in the way of dirt, unless you count revelations on the level of Bill Clinton's love for NCIS, Los Angeles. The revelations aren't the behind-the-scenes kind so much as the in Hillary's head kind. Those wondering how she got through those hours and days after the election get their answers. She elegantly communicates the numbness she felt after watching Trump's acceptance speech. "We lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Bill took my hand, and we just lay there." But then, Clinton's book is also at times a chatty campaign memento. A full chapter on a day in the life gets into banal details about Team Clinton's campaign diet. A policy primer, she explains at length her thoughts on helping the white working class. A timeline, she lays out, step by step, how the email controversy unfolded, and an autopsy of what exactly went wrong in her campaign. The autopsy parts of her book have already grabbed headlines, with Clinton's criticisms of Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. But her post-mortem on her campaign is not an angry, blame-hurling tirade, nor is it by any means a full mea culpa. Rather, Clinton parcels out responsibility, and she is exacting in her accounting. The result is a study in contrasts. She heaps praise on some people, which makes it that much more meaningful when she lambastes others. Clinton has nothing but glowing words for her campaign staff. She is deeply grateful to Barack and Michelle Obama for stomping for her. But she doesn't spare Joe Biden, who at one point criticized her for not talking enough about middle-class families. I find this fairly remarkable, considering that Joe himself campaigned for me all over the Midwest and talked plenty about the middle class. Former FBI Director James Comey gets much more of a thrashing, with Clint